Alright, welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Happenings here in Mendham. So, blast from the past, Modern Mystic video. I have to just say, frankly, for all the stuff on the internet, all the videos, all the whatever personalities, this was, to me, the most interesting interaction was the videos back and forth between me and the Modern Mystic, in terms of simplifying and clarifying how to even talk about what it is to be alive in the universe. And 99% of what the mystics had to say was relevant and reasonable. But that 1%, dioxin, powerful poison, powerful nonsense. So underlying it is some notion that it's about happiness. Somehow it's about you having a happy life or something, or some sort of crap like that. And it's not about philosophy, about what it really means to be a human being and what kind of people we need to be to make the world a better place and all of that kind of crap. It's just some sort of, here's my personal advice: be as dumb as you can, stupid as you can, ignorant as you can, pay as little attention as you can, watch as much TV as you can, entertain yourself in the simplest menial tasks as you can find, and that way your brain won't irritate you with fears and crisis and doom and all the sense of angst and tension and all of those things. You can do without any of that if you're just a blissful idiot. And he sells that as a strategy because he doesn't think human beings, in terms of evolving, have to actually go through the incremental process of talking about ideas before they can have developed ideas. That they can't develop the film. It doesn't just pop out of the camera a picture, even when it's an instant camera, right? You had to go through the little wheels, you had to pull it through the wheels, or you had to do something, and then you had to wait for it to chemically do its thing before you peeled it apart. There was a process you had to go through, and the process is the human race doesn't improve or get better if it doesn't do this, if it doesn't do this mixing of ideas and competing of ideas and all of this stuff with concepts. If it doesn't play with the concepts, it won't improve the concepts, and it won't have a better destiny. It only has the better destiny. It only creates the penicillin if it does all the experiments that were necessary before you got to being able to synthesize or pull the good stuff out of the mold, to make the cure. So I mean, it's just such a, you're saying, how could he be that stupid? But it's not just about being stupid. It's about he's become addicted to or attached to some notion that this Indian philosophy, this Buddhism stuff, has some sort of merit, and so he's forcing it to fit, and he's contriving it into some sort of science, when no, it's dogma, it's religion, it's just jargon, it's just gibberish. And so something like that anyway. And so he's letting this one tiny part of him that's attached to some idea, that, I don't know, maybe he liked British rule of India, and he's, who knows what kind of silly thing it is in his head that has him attached to it. But he's attached to it, and so he's going to force meditation or some sort of, crap about, what our real struggle is with the facts of life, or with just the fact that we recognize the fact of life. Is the truth the problem, or the fact that we pursue the truth the problem? I would say obviously the truth is the problem. It's not our fault the world sucks. It's not our fault the universe sucks. It's not any of that shit. But it is our fault if we don't unsuck it. If we don't do our job, our part of the mixing, our part of the science, the improvement If we don't do the clean the windshield, you know, then yeah, it's our fault. There's the accident. Anyway, yeah, and, you know, not to probably get somewhere close to what the point, the truth is here, in terms of why we have a personality conflict, which shouldn't exist because we're so much alike in so many ways. I mean, well, that's not true, because he's one of these people that, you know, tries to do it right the first time, and I try to do it cheap and fast. You know, just barely get by kind of stuff. Anyway, and you know, I'm probably too, you know, I don't file anything, I don't organize anything, I don't label anything, I don't do any of that stuff, and he does. But anyway, you know, I don't wear baseball caps, you know, lots of things. But anyway, so he's made this series of videos just talking this gibberish again and playing a bunch of these guru idiots who keep talking about how there's no I and there's no self and blah, 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 blah. And it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't mean anything. I don't know how it could possibly comfort anybody to know, I claim you don't exist. How does that comfort me? Oh yes, I can believe that I don't exist. Sure, I can understand. Yeah, it seems totally plausible that I don't exist. And it doesn't matter how I feel. What? No, I can't. How do I follow that trail of crap? How can you even get close to that being logically reasonable statements? I don't exist and it doesn't matter what I feel. Oh, please. Fuck you. Too silly. I mean, it's an impossibly nonsensical premise. All right, take a pause and try to keep refocusing. Try to keep fiddling with the focus and see if we could focus. All right, so last week I asked, suggested that people could make a contribution, and I'd reward them if they came up with a good one for a fourth line. Not a single player game, too expensive, not your money. Blah blah blah. Fourth line. Okay, so maybe there's not a fourth line because nothing worked. Nothing anybody suggested in much continuity sense. So maybe it just needs to start over and you go something like evolving machine, bug planet, okay, and intelligence is just a scheming tool. So we could go with those three and come up with a four, something like that. Anyway, and so that's what this video was about, was just the simplicity of it. We know what we are. We're evolving machines, okay? That's what's happening on planet Earth, is the evolution of this chemistry into these complex forms. We're just a complex form. Instead of having tools like where we spit acid or we can change color or, all the bizarre things that's, electricity, electric eel or something. Our talent, our tool of use, is the fact that we can process the environment and scheme solutions, okay, to cutting his legs off or stopping, making the bear fall in the hole. Tiger trap, for example. We can figure out ways to manipulate the environment to suit our purposes, and that's our advantage, both as a defensive tool and an aggressive tool against each other. That's our peacock feather kind of, the way we prove ourselves. Now, it doesn't have anything to do with evolution anymore because, the system we have doesn't decide how many kids you have based on how smart you are or how successful you are. It just has to do with how stupid you are, generally speaking. More kids, the dumber you are, the more kids you'll end up having. That's the way it works. And so it's a backward evolution now. So, but it doesn't have anything really to do with it, because we're really talking about not the evolution of the capacity to think. We're talking, because we already have that, and we've had that for hundreds of thousands of years at least. It's what's evolving is the thinking itself. The ideas are evolving, the memes, the understanding, the depth of the understanding, the science, the data, the amount of information acquired. That's what's evolving, is the pile of data to be processed. The processing machine is the same processing machine that existed thousands of years ago. The difference is what are we processing? And we're processing a huge, gigantic volume of information. And the problem is that, yes, there tends to be this theme where everybody wants to, they keep asking the wrong question. How do we get here? Blah, blah, you know, stuff that ain't gonna, the answer's not gonna be at all miraculous, and it's not gonna be satisfying, and it's not gonna be any of that stuff, so don't bother asking those stupid questions. The point is what do we do with being here? That's the only question that matters, is what do I do with today and tomorrow and the next day if I have one? You know, what's the agenda? What's important? You know, and I would argue the pretty obvious thing you can glean from existence is the important thing is torture be bad, okay? So I guess that's another group of things to say, right? Like not a single player game, torture be bad, okay? You know, so let's not do that. Let's eliminate torturing things because it sucks. I mean, really, this is this simple, right? I mean, the fact that you have to have conversations explaining that suffering sucks is just so fucking amazing. You know, and that these denialers, these I'm going to play some game with the truth and try to somehow evade having responsibility for playing some role in whether or not torture will be imposed. You know, it's just amazing, the evasion. So this is sort of, I mean, it sort of goes with the nihilist theme of the previous weeks, and because it's sort of the same. The little babblers, you know, the little psychedelic takers, little the sissies that turn into giant sissies, right? I mean, there's no this whole connection between psychedelics and this voodoo, philosophical pansy Gaia goop. It just has to do with going from sissy to mega sissy. You have to be a sissy going in, right? So you don't see like Hulk Hogan going to India and Buddha-ing or something, right? So there's no transition from person who wasn't a sissy going in to some sort of sissy coming out. Yeah, that's the truth of it. You know, these are people looking for a shitty answer. They're looking for escape hatches, and so they find one. You know, because you know the obvious truth is when the psychedelics I did, okay, the 4 or 5 occasions where I was, in most circumstances, somebody poisoned me. You know, it wasn't even by my volition. Is that yeah, no, I didn't see any of that happy pappy Winnie the Pooh visits kind of bullshit. No, I saw a dark, horrible, awful, grisly, terrifying world. So all the I didn't see the tie-dyed shirt kind of fun. Okay, I saw a nauseating ocean of waves, clouds, noise, horror. Anyway, because that's what my brain was going in. So you just magnify what you go in with, frankly. So it's, if you're searching for a simple answer, it'll give you a simple answer. If you think that the answer's complicated, it'll give you a you know, it just magnifies whatever bent you already have. Any defect, any limp your brain already has, it breaks that leg, you know, altogether. You know, so it just exaggerates what's broken. Okay, he uses that kind of term, and it doesn't do anything else. Anyway, so that's a whole separate subject, sort of. But I mean, there's so many of these fake little whatever sissy gurus on the internet talking this babble about, you know, how there's no self and there's no this and I singularity with the universe and it's very good. Yeah, it really knows how to fuck you. You know, whatever all that bullshit is. And it's just bullshit is the point. So it's not even worth a conversation. It's such bullshit. All right, so bottom line. All right, so there's like 2.5 hours. I did 2 videos, long videos. I think they're really good videos. Not so much because it's an argument about what he's saying, but because it's an argument defending the fact that the definition of our reality, our circumstance, is not complicated. It isn't a big, horrible, it doesn't need to be veiled in any mystery whatsoever. It's so fucking simple. We're just evolving machines. And we have a scheming tool that we can use rationally and intelligently to define rational and intelligent goals, or we can just use it to satisfy desires and needs. So we can be a monkey with an iPhone, or we can take it the next level and let the iPhone define, okay, what we need to be as human beings, as what our objective is. So it's not just about getting to your goal. It's about first picking a good game to play. So if you're going to play the reality game, then reality's going to say this is what you're in. This is the mess you're in. Okay, you're in this big ocean, this cesspool of suffering, and you've got to get these turds, these suffering turds, the hell out. Before you can drink the water, you have to clean it. And that's your job, is to help create the environment where eventually we eradicate the negative and emphasize the positive. Preserve it in some way. Which, again, is scientifically unrealistic, because the universe doesn't preserve anything. It just keeps recycling everything. Okay, so it's just not going to be preserved. Okay. The gold will be in many, many shapes. It'll never stay in one mold, one form. Alright, so let's just play some bits of this. And so, I should try to make this video a little shorter, just because the other videos are really long. And frankly, like I said, I think they're worth listening to, because I think there's a lot of good arguments about the simplicity of understanding that it's just evolution, and it's just adding some value to the story of evolution, and the evolution of first the machine capable of thinking, and then the thoughts. It's just the data. So again, it's just on recognizing that there's one thing building the computer, the other thing is building the computer has to take time to sense data, compile the data, put it on the hard drive, store it, filter it, put it through the filters. And that's all we've been doing for the last 20,000 years in building civilization and human communication and human experience, is that we're building something now, where 50,000 years ago we weren't building anything. Okay, there was nothing for the future. You just mundanely went through this silly process of lay eggs, die, lay eggs, die, lay eggs, die. And you didn't do anything meaningful with your scheming tool, with your brains. Brains all had this limited, crude value. So he compares it to XP, the operating system, in Windows 11. And the better comparison is whatever operating system was running the Texas Instrument calculator in 1964, or a Timex watch, and Windows 11, because it's the rudimentary function is really simple. You can't walk through trees. Your brain lets you know that. You can't jump this high, that high. You can't do this. You can't, it's constructing a world that's telling you what's practical and what's possible, because you can see, you can model it and say it won't work. You don't have to do it. You can just model it and see it. And language. Language is the key to the whole intelligent thing. We were plenty intelligent 250,000 years ago, but we didn't have any language. So the intelligence couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything. There was no high school. But the brain was already capable of doing it. It just didn't have a way of acquiring the information to process. It had this processing capacity. It was only processing apples and oranges, and then it figured out, I can process Italy and Japan, and I can process lots of things. That kind of analogy. Anyway, let's play some of this. You learn how to be an actor. And that's it. You just do. Okay, so that's the scheme. I was just talking about my first working experiences. Well, it wasn't the first, but I spent some time in the completely not what I would expect me to get into, which is a social environment. So I was totally uncomfortable in social environments, social people, all that kind of stuff, and I ended up in that business. And it was just kind of funny how, yes, you just adapt. And the adaptation is to deal with people, is to become a complete fake, fraud, phony, to become an actor. He feeds himself. He does all his maintenance. He keeps the parasites off. He does all. So I was talking about birds and peacocks and birds that there's a bird that just collects blue stuff to impress the females, and he just sits in front of his big pile of blue things. And basically just says, love me, because look at all this blue stuff I have. So just this funny way that evolution has tested, how it tests organisms. And the fact is that some of the tests make sense, but obviously on the surface you'd say, gee, that's just so goddamn silly, all that wasted energy. But the very fact that he has that energy to waste is the point. He's got to be awful functional to be able to waste so much time. You can explain that. I didn't do it. Okay. All right. So now I'm talking about just brains and the fact that I'm just watching me be me. So that's, said a lot. But that's, I've said this so many times. Look, your brain just creates the theater. It creates the screen. And now it's going to take in the world and put it on this screen. This your perception is not reality. It's a distortion, a perversion of it, a correction of it, you could even argue. Okay, I mean, if you saw photons the way they come at you without a pupil to focus and all that kind of stuff, it would just be noise because there's too much information coming from wrong places, hitting surfaces. You need to be able to focus to see things. So, lots of these rules. So your brain is modifying the universe, creating this screen, and then, frankly, in this theater, and it puts you in the seat. I mean, you're tied there. You don't have any functions. You don't have any ability to do anything. The theater controls, and you just experience what the theater is doing. So there is some, but again, all that's probably just built out of some sort of emotional insecurity that was. So I talked a little bit about how you can just dissect all of this personality shit, all these little things you do, anything, you can just go back and figure out why you're that way, why that happened to you, what experiences, blah, blah, blah. And it explains a lot. It's all dissectable. It's all because it is, in fact, a deterministic reality. And there's these strict rules, and this is the way it's going to work. And it's, rocks don't have happy accidents. There's no way for it to do anything else but the mechanical, rigorous, physical process. It can't just poof wings and fly. I'm wrong. Yeah. And you can't poof an idea and believe it. No. It has to be built in you, through you. That's the way it works. All right. So I was just thinking that it'd be great if there was a matrix and you could actually show kids. Okay, so I was just thinking about, the mystic sort of thinks that there's always some sort of genetic thing that's part of this. And it's such a minuscule, it means so little because the calculation you're doing is so simple, right? You don't need a huge giant capacity to understand something as simple as the process of evolution and, for example, why peacocks have pretty feathers. You can understand why that works. You can understand it's just not that challenging. And so it's just, a minimum amount of thinking capacity is all you need to honor or respect or appreciate or understand the truth, because the truth isn't a complicated story. And so I sort of made the argument that, look, if every 5-year-old was exposed to 1 hour inmendham video where I could show them, each individual, how their parents are liars. How, what was in their father's head when the night they were conceived. All the lies and bullshit that are part of how kids are indoctrinated into this role playing. All the nonsense of these idiots that have kids, these parents who can't even control their own functions, thinking they're going to control the world enough to create a path for their child. They can't even get through the jungle themselves, and they're somehow going to plow a path for their child when they can't plow their own sidewalk. Fuck. Or maybe I should recognize that, then maybe I should be going to the piece of paper and writing stuff down and trying to draw a picture. Right, so when you start feeling that insecurity thing, right, so I was just sort of talking about that, then you sort of know, okay, maybe I'm just going to get offensive. Maybe there's some totem pole that I respect is, it's been dissed and I'm just being defensive. And maybe the totem pole ain't what it is, okay? Maybe it is just gilded. Maybe it is just cheap gold plating. Opposite. They've been de-enlightened. Right, so calling people enlightened who are doing this mushy, sissy, babbly, wooey baby talk about how there's no me and there's no self and this is part of the universe is trying to experience itself, where the universe, having a wank. It's just all such crap. Pathetic crap. It's religion that's been neutered. I mean, it's a neutered religion. It's just so, please. It's just such pussy shit. Just talking about the fact that you can spin the mixer faster, Right, so there's lots of ways that we mix what happens to us. So we're just reflecting, what hits us, the forces, the energy. And the fact is, though, if we're spinning a certain speed, it'll look one way. If we're spinning another speed, it'll come out another way. Our brain is mixing it. It's changing it. It's processing it. Okay, and it can be processing with good intentions. It can be processing with shitty intentions. And that's really important. With lies or with tradition or with blah, 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 blah. And yes, unfortunately, kids are forced into spinning, okay, the way their culture says so, or their moronic parents say so, or the psychological backlash to that, which is the antisocial rebel, who's rebel with no cause. Just anti that, not pro anything. Things you're familiar and comfortable with. Just a tearer downer, not a builder upper. Things that are foreign and alien and weird and perverse and queer and faggoty and blah 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 blah. and yes, those bigotries. So obviously, just talking about the fact that that's what they are. And so yes, we're always fighting with our conditioning. We're fighting with the fact that we don't have all of the details correct, that we have distorted and perverted them through tradition. I played baseball as a kid. I understand baseball. I didn't play cricket. I didn't watch cricket. I don't like it. It looks silly. You bounce. I mean, the whole thing is stupid. Fuck, why would I play that dumb game? Obviously, it wasn't a fair contest. So, yeah. All right. Mixed, like half women, half men. And okay, so I was talking about some party last night. While I was making the video at 12:30 at night. These people they're so. I mean, these noisemakers. It's just so. You're just so. Oh, they really are just chattering apes. They can't even figure out that their voice should be moderated at 1 o'clock in the morning. That little simple things. I mean, I used to go. My father go fishing at 5 o'clock in the morning, and we knew we didn't just bang the door on the car and blah blah. Whoa, what are you almost little about? No, you kind of whispered. And you're shh, don't wake up the neighborhood. I mean, come on, it wasn't difficult. Again, such a simple amount of information necessary. Don't be annoying. Wow, that's really hard to figure out, right? It's going to take me a whole lifetime to figure out I shouldn't annoy the fuck out of people unnecessarily? Wow. No, that shouldn't take any time at all. Anyway, so that's just a cultural dysfunction that we have actually raised people who are adults and they still don't know this simple thing. You know, simple stuff like that. Like, yes, don't, whatever, just shit in the living room. I mean, yeah. All right, anyway. So, I think two fairly good videos, frankly, but I guess you'd have to have some appreciation for the fact that the real agenda here is that this is so simple, and it really shouldn't be that difficult to, you know, show the two things. Nail in the eye, cupcake. Cavern of difference between these two experiences. You know, that kind of thing. I shouldn't have to do that. I guess I should use something like an experience instead of cupcake, right? So I should, you know, softly stroking the underside of your ball sack versus nailing your eye. Anyway, this planet is just so littered with shit. Stupid motherfucking humans. God damn it. Anyway, just can't. I was just not aware that people were this dysfunctional. That they were really, you know, they're dumber than 5-year-olds. They're uneducated. You know, they never got to be, you know, they never graduated nursery school, frankly, without cheating. Alright, anyway, so enough of a video. Till the next time, and such. Speaking of people, you know, I can hear them. You know, neighbors talking across their fences. I don't need to hear your conversation. I don't need to. Anyway, till next time and such.